Hey, blues fans, you found us. Glad you did. Time for another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. Now, we had somebody write in and ask if it would be okay if they submitted suggestions for different blues artists that we may not know about or might be off our radar. Absolutely, send them our way. We're not the be-all end-all on blues history. We're just trying to keep those stories alive. And the more ideas we have for stories, the better. We do our daily history post on Facebook and Instagram, and we do our weekly video and podcast, so send them our way. We're always looking for good ideas. So with that, let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. The blues standard, "The Sky is Crying," written by Elmore James, was first recorded by him on November 3rd or November 4th, 1959. It became an R&B record chart hit and has been covered by numerous artists. In 1969, Albert King recorded "The Sky is Crying" for the album Years Gone By. And of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan performed and recorded the song regularly, and it was finally released after his death as the title track on his 1991 album, The Sky is Crying. Delta blues pianist Willie Love was born November 4th, 1906. He spent most of his active music career in Greenville, Mississippi, where he met blues harp player Sonny Boy Williamson in 1942. The pair played regularly on Nelson Street, the main drag of the black section of Greenville, and it was Williamson who brought Love into the fold at Trumpet Records. Memphis blues guitarist and harmonica player Memphis Willie B. was born November 4th, 1911. He was known for his work with Jack Kelly's Jugbusters and the Memphis Jug Band. After being discharged from the Army after World War II, he discovered it hard to find work as a musician and eventually took up other employment. His career was revived for several years in the 1960s with the blues revival. Blues singer and guitarist Delbert McClinton was born November 4th, 1940. From his first professional stage appearance in 1957 to his most recent national tour or studio release, he has recorded albums for several major record labels and singles that have reached the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 charts, the mainstream rock tracks, and Hot Country Songs charts. 4 of his albums have been number 1 on the blues chart, and another reached number 2. Blues guitarist and harmonica player Studebaker John was born November 5th, 1952 in Chicago. His father was an amateur musician who played early in life at the Maxwell Street Flea Market. Studebaker John began playing harmonica at the age of 7, and in the 1970s he put together his band The Hawks and worked as a construction worker while recording and performing on the side. He recorded extensively for Blind Pig Records in the 1990s. An underappreciated blues man by the name of Blue Smitty was born November 6th in 1924. He was a powerful singer and guitarist who made a great contribution to the transformation of the blues from acoustic to electric music in Chicago just after World War II. After a stint in the Army, he ended up in Chicago playing clubs with a couple of young men named Jimmy Rogers and Muddy Waters. You might have heard of them. November 6th is National Saxophone Day, celebrated on the birthday of Adolph Sax, who invented the saxophone in 1841. Some blues and R&B sax players you might have heard about include Bull Moose Jackson, Willie Jordan, Grady Gaines, Eddie Cleanhead Vinson, and Vanessa Collier. The Chicago blues guitarist and singer Boston Blackie was born November 6, 1943 in Panola, Alabama. He began playing guitar by the age of 6, and in 1962 he moved to Chicago, where 3 of his brothers had already relocated and formed a band. He backed Johnny B. Moore and Lee Schott Williams at the Majestic Lounge, Little Milton at Pepper's Lounge, and played at various times with Magic Sam, Otis Rush, Freddie King, Kansas City Red, Hubert Sumlin, and Homesick James. Blues guitarist and singer Rory Block was born November 6, 1949 in Princeton, New Jersey, and grew up in Manhattan. At the age of 14, she met the guitarist Stephen Grossman, who introduced her to the music of the Mississippi Delta blues guitarists. Rory Block has won numerous blues and music awards, including Best Traditional Blues Female Artist, Best Acoustic Blues Album of the Year, and Acoustic Artist of the Year. Blues legend Bonnie Raitt was born November 8, 1949. After picking up the guitar at the age of 12, Raitt felt an immediate affinity for the blues. She dropped out of college and began playing the Boston Folk and Blues Club circuit. She was soon performing alongside the likes of Howlin' Wolf, Sippy Wallace, and Mississippi Fred McDowell. Raitt has received 10 Grammy Awards and is listed as number 50 in Rolling Stone's list of 100 greatest singers of all time and number 89 on the magazine's list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time. This week marks a trifecta for great blueswomen. Guitarist, singer, and songwriter Susan Tedeschi was born November 9th in 1970. Now, she's a multiple Grammy Award nominee and is a member of the Tedeschi Trucks Band. It's a combination of her band, her husband Derek Trucks, the Derek Trucks Band, and other musicians. She is part of a new generation of blues musicians looking for ways to keep the form exciting, vital, and evolving. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, and frankly, I can't see why you wouldn't, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a new episode next week, so we'll see you then.